Alright, welcome to this terrible shitposter presentation I have. We have 5 weapon combos you need to try right now! Yes, clickbait. There you have it, folks. The idea for this video just came from, I don't know, sitting around. I was like, oh, what kind of trash clickbait can I make? And I was like, oh yeah, this would totally work. So, I'm going to present you with 5 different, little 2-weapon combos in no particular order. I'm going to give you a short analysis of their strengths and weaknesses, as well as an evaluation of the possible opportunities for you to make the most of their functionality, as well as some possible threats that they won't be able to handle very well. So just kind of give you some ideas of how you might go around building your AC around this sort of thing. Also, if you find yourself fighting these, I've given you a couple little tips about how to fight against them to mitigate the risk and the damage output. Main topic though is think for yourself, dude. You should make your own decisions about this kind of thing. These are just my opinions, basically. So, what my criteria for strengths are things that are like the building block of your build, the unique assets of your AC, or areas of leverage where you can put your focus in order to gain advantage in fights. Weaknesses, meanwhile, are limitations in your AC's available resources, as well as the overall cost of using the setup, because we're conducting a cost-benefit analysis here whenever you equip something. It costs weight, it costs strain, it costs a slot on your AC. And both of these are largely internal factors that you can control by building your AC around them. So if I know I'm taking 2 Sawas, I know that's, 2 slots, and it's, 2,000 weight and 2,000 drain on my AC that I need to worry about. And I can build around that. However, opportunities and threats are, mostly external elements, like what a good partner AC might be, or complementary weapons and frames that you might fight alongside. So if somebody's providing armor break for you, that could be good. As well as bad matchups, you can't really control what AC your opponent is using. So when you're considering weapon combo, you need to pay close attention to external factors and the realistic enemy threats you'll face. For example, you don't need to prepare for that 3000 CE defense ultra heavy tank, but the light quad, worthwhile thing to prepare for. Also, this is maybe for the new players, you usually want a 2-weapon combo, you want 2 weapon combos, or a 3-weapon combo. So I'm only giving you part of the building blocks here. You only have half the Lego set, you gotta build the rest. So you want to avoid superficiality when it comes to these things, so we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty details of what these weapons can actually do. Really consider what's the most you can get out of them and what their limitations are, because you're going to be adding on to this. Likewise, this is about priorities. You have limited resources, you have limited slots, limited weight, limited drain, and most of all, weapon slots are on the premium, especially shoulder units, so that's something to consider. I said these are 2-weapon combos, but I sometimes recommend a subcomputer, or also just missiles or something like that, just because they're good. So consider the opportunity cost involved. And also, yeah, it's your Armored Core, do as you like. Think about why you'd bother taking some weapons over others when you consider the available resources you can commit to solving problems with. Because if you're making an AC, this is like a little puzzle game, right? You have to make sure you're addressing all the different threats on the threat list. Oh, can I cover a quad? Can I cover a heavy? Etc., etc. And if you're running out of slots and running out of weight and drain, and you're like, oh, I don't have anything for quads, well, back to the drawing board, dude. Sorry. But that said, we need to avoid confirmation bias, because just because I killed one guy with it one time doesn't make it a world beater, sorry. And of course, just because I mentioned it doesn't mean it's objectively the strongest shit. But that also doesn't mean that we should discount the qualitative approach. This is something that I sometimes talk with Kelt and Phantasmar about, because if something feels good or terrible to use, you probably shouldn't overlook that. Many of the weapons in this game have great performance on the spreadsheet. They have amazing sheet DPS and shit, but a quantitative approach really overlooks the handling characteristics and the opportunity costs. This is one reason why I don't really like shotguns. I know they're fucking great, but you need to pilot your AC as if you're on a fucking collision course to the enemy in order to get good damage out of them. And a great example of this is USG 3BR, which, that shotgun 3BR combo, it fucks hard, but you have to be locked in and on top of your opponent to get results out of it, and it's not something you can just expect a new player to use on a plug-and-play AC. Part 1! Kurosawa and 3BR with maybe a sub or 2. What does this do? Well, it hits lights, it hits mids, it hits shit so fucking hard, you can even hit heavies with it. It's great. You don't give a shit what you shoot at, dude, hardly. because you armor break with the Sawa, the 3BR will hit even quads effectively, unless you're like shooting a motherfucker with 2,500 CE defense, because that's about where the 3BR damage caps off. So the strengths here is, look, this shit it locks very quick. It's like a 68 lock time or some shit like that. It bursts really hard. You have a mix of range poke and close range reliable burst. Garland and Chang were running after me with this shit last night. They didn't even have subs, they had missiles, and that was fucking awful to fight, oh my god. But of course the problem here is that this costs about 2,000 weight in drain. It's a huge drain on your AC. It also fucks your fucking fingers to shit, dude. Like, you have to charge one trigger while tap firing the other. Like, I mean, you could hold it, but you don't really want to hold the 3BR trigger because, like, you're wasting your fucking 3 shots there. Plus, the muzzle doesn't sync up. Like, I don't know. Good luck using the 3BR past spitting distance, unless you're, I don't know. Because sometimes you can just spray the 3BR and it'll just fucking hit, and you're like, oh no, I've been chipped out. Ah, like I gotta click me die to that shit. But the opportunities available for you here is that you can support allies with subs. I like to run this on I call it a support heavyweight, which support in this game just means you're going to be shooting people in the back who aren't shooting back at you. But really, the Model 3 subcomputers are totally fine with this. You can help your teammates out. And you can also use this with single sub or dual sub, and you can run other weapons like snipers. Although at that point, it's like, why do you have this super heavy weapon combo if you're just going to be sniping anyways? But your frame options are open. You can also ditch the subs and run missiles if you want. High speeds work well with this. They complement both weapons very well. Both weapons want armor break. Or rather, the Sawa provides armor break, and the 3BR does, and high-speed missiles also provide armor break and like armor break. So there you have it. Let's break it down here. So here's the math. Full power 3BR tune after armor break hits for 2,545, and that's going to hit over most light quads and tanks. Compared to that, the 201 tune, which is at 1,772 damage, that's after armor break only hitting for 2215. That still hits some CE heavies, but you will only be hitting the lightest of light quads with this, and probably not even a standard solid quad anymore. Also, many CE tanks will resist that. However, you do, with that one accuracy tuning, get a lot better lock time and better muzzle. So this is just some things to think about. And that's cool about this combo is that you can fuck with the tunes. Like, the full power is nice, but you can tune to taste as you like. You just have to keep in mind that anything lower than max power on the 3BR means that you won't chunk quads at all. And likewise, if you go down in power on the Kurosawa tune, or the 40-shot tune, you're going to start losing impact force and also burst damage, and that might affect your ability to fight quads as well. You can still get around like 1500 impact even at like a full rapid tune, and if you're subbing that, rapid KRSW is really funny. Like, you should try that shit out, that's a lot of fun. It's fucking like impact hell for lightweights and shit, it's wild. But I think it only has like 800 muzzle, so it's not bad, it's just, you gotta worry about it. Anyways, in addition to the power tune and the 201 tune, there's also the 111 tune, or the full accuracy tune. On the 3BR, which they just fucking turn KE heavies and mids into fucking dog meat. Like the 000 fucking, or the 003 fucking 3BR tune, full accuracy tune is so fucking threatening to lighter ACs. But again, you have to worry about if you drop the power on the 3BR, you're not able to hit many more targets, and that's a weapon slot that then becomes dead weight to you in those matchups, and that's 900 weight on your AC that you could have used for something else. So you really probably want to run a power tune on the 3BR unless you're looking to hit really specific targets with this as like a dual setup. For general use, I'd say max power for both. Here's some more math on this. The 111 tune, which is one that it's not very common, but it's one that I like. I have the stats here for you to show you the base lock time. The muzzle's nice. The reload time syncs up pretty well. It's less powerful than the full power 3BR, of course, so you rely more on the fire rate and like the consistency of the burst. And this also means that if you're not using KE arms, but you're using a high stability arms, you can chew through low CE targets in a brawl alongside that KRSW, and that's gonna fucking maul most TE targets as well. So this is like your fucking mid-weight killer setup, as well as most KE heavies. Like, you just get fucking shredded by this shit. What else? And then, of course, the accuracy tune compared here for you. even better lock time, even better muzzle, really solid stuff. That still hits some CE heavies, right? And after armor break, there's basically no AC in existence that's actually going to hit this number, so you probably are very specialized at this point. You're using that muzzle mostly to reach out and hit people, so it complements the range of the KRSW as well. So you can run it on a longer range FCS, maybe on glance if you want. And with the sub, that's going to be very reactive. It's just that you're not going to be hitting all the targets you want to hit as hard as you could be. And at this point, you could even use this without a subcomputer, but it is just that much more responsive with one. You just have to remember that unless all 3 of the shots hit with the accuracy 3BR, the damage is not very good. So you could go hunting Robbies with this if you wanted to, or hunting whites. Mids, it will still shred. It's good burst. You just have to think about what shoulder unit you're using. Actually, with this, my fucked up brain is telling me that you should fucking use like middle missiles with this or some shit, or a fucking large missile would be really funny, because at this point you don't need subs. Sub laser is already a luxury, but you probably don't need it for accuracy 3BR. If you do sub this, this is like the fucking peak lightweight killer shit, but you're really specialized at that point. That's a huge investment. So roundup here, you have to decide, my brothers, what you want to hit with this combo. Whether you want to shoot everything or just want to pull it out specifically to hit certain targets really well. You also want to think about whether you have other options to hit other targets. And as for the threats to this, basically this is suboptimal against tanks and heavies, but you can still shoot them with it. The main downside is that if the enemy is fighting at laser range and has a TE shield, you are not breaking that shit with the 3BR unless you close the distance. And that's not usually something you want to do. And you also need to fire the KRSW before the 3BR, particularly against quads, because you have to armor break them for the 3BR to do fucking anything to them. And then the other side of that coin there is that if you're fighting this, just accept that a subbed Kurosawa is gonna fucking hit you, because it's got 1000 muzzle. It locks in like maybe a quarter of a second. You can try and wiggle this shit. You can wiggle a 3BR at least, and if you stay out of the effective range of the 3BR, you will probably mitigate a lot of the damage. But again, you have to just accept that the Sawa is going to hit. So a good partner for this weapon might be like a sniper behind the 3BR, because that's going to reach out and pair well with the KRSW, in case you don't want to do brawling stuff. But at that point, you really miss out on the brawling capacity, which is like that's the point of having the 3BR, because people close in on the Sawa. They're like, oh, cool, like you're not going to be able to shoot me at like this interval, and they get in on you, and like especially if they're heavy, they're like, yeah, what are you going to do, dude? But that's where the sub 3BR comes in, because you're just like, get fucking owned, idiot. Like, that's huge burst. It's good stuff. It allows you to stay competitive with more specialized builds in the brawl setting, and that can help you burst down targets and keep your teammates alive because you can peel for them, which is good. Alright, number 2! Holy fuck, dude, Knuckle. Just Knuckle. Just Knuckle. But also, and Shotgun, and Amp, if you like. The Knuckle is a pulse gun. It's another thermal weapon. You need to be kissing it for to do damage. But it fucks, dude. It has huge damage. You gotta try this shit out. So, let me show you some curse to fuck math real quick, which will demonstrate how you should fuck with the Knuckle. So let's look at the stats. The Knuckle's firing 8 projectiles per trigger pull. They hit for 1170 TE damage a pop. So multiply that together. That's 9,360. The other common pulse gun, the Nappa, or the Miyadori Model 3, which hits for, what, 1149? That's 6 pellets per shot, and that damage comes out to 6,894. So compare those numbers quick. The Knuckle is giving you almost 30% more damage per trigger pull. Now this, let's go even fucking further beyond, dude. Okay, add an energy amp. This shit is underused tech. I've been fucking with this recently. Kelt had this insane AC where he dual amps the fucking 12 shots, and I played around with that last night. That's a lot of fun too. But let me tell you, dude, single amp your Knuckle. It's awesome. This hikes your damage up crazy. Like, it increases your damage by 21%. And you are fucking cooking with this shit, dude. Let's math this out. Alright, so 1170 TE times 1.21. And then again, it's 8 pellets, so multiply that again by 8. That is 325 damage. Per trigger pull. I mean, that's before defenses, but this is good sheet damage, right? If you feel like your shot pulse doesn't fuck hard enough, grab a Knuckle and amp that shit. It's only 20% less damage than 2 pulse guns at once! Can you imagine that? Like, if you get hit by this shit, that's almost 2 Nappas hitting you. That's crazy, from one gun. So what does this do? Well, the strengths, obviously, the knuckle fucks, dude. The damage is beyond your comprehension. Unfortunately, you're going to see all these weaknesses here. It drains energy like crazy, holy shit. So the drawback of the energy amplifier is that in addition to increasing your damage, it increases your drain by another fucking 80%. That's painful, but it's not as bad as using a second pulse gun. The other issue is that this weapon has shit viability at range, it has shit muzzle velocity. If you do the fucking crazy trigonometry required to make this shit hit, you may as well be kicking your opponent or using melee or like a howitzer at point blank or something else. Maybe that's your new combo, actually. I'm gonna go try that after this. I'm gonna put knuckle on one hand and a fucking howitzer on the other, and we're just gonna go, fuck it, we brawl, Unga Brain. Also, amps are super fucking useless in the matchups versus tanks and heavyweights. You can't even purge it. It's just 900 weight down the fucking toilet, dude. Amps are fucking heavy. So as for opportunities, let's get a little bit crazy here. I'm gonna admit that the amp is optional, but if you do want to keep the amp, you can try some cursed shit like amp 12 or amped plasma. You're going all in on the TE brawl at that point, and they're a huge cost on your AC, because most ACs that can afford to slot an amp would really like to use a different shoulder unit to enable them to just do anything else. That said, if you're amping your knuckle, you really don't need a shotgun. Like, you're hitting for 14, 15 damage, like straight out of the gate with the amp knuckle, which means that like there's very few targets that actually have the defense needed to resist it, except like really fat TE stack builds. Like there's the really rare fucking like midweights that have a whole lot of TE. This means that you could use a damage-focused shotgun instead of an impact one. So rather than the USG at power spec for the impact, you could use that one that has like the 1253 damage or 1252 damage, or the 1330 damage shotgun, just to hit hard. But also, like, TE quads will have 1452 TE defense at least, and you're not armor breaking them at all with a hand weapon, unless it's like a Sawa, I guess. And TE mids are not far behind. Rare TE setups might have as much as 1550 or 1700 TE, and you can theoretically hit them effectively after armor break from a supporting shotgun, but most quads at that much TE are they're gonna be so fat you're not armor breaking them anyways. But your basic bitch light quad is gonna have recoil resistance in the high like 1550s, so you're never armor breaking that at all. Like, it's just not happening with the shotgun. Likewise, a TE stack quad is going to have even more recoil resistance than that, so forget armor breaking it without a Sawa. And if you're crazy, that means that you should amp knuckle and amp 12 and go quad hunting. Of course, you can only burst with this. You're dumping your entire generator into that burst, but it's gonna hurt. They're not gonna want to fuck with you. Some little infighter quad comes up on you like, yeah, I'm TE stacked, I'm fine. You hit him with the 12, you hit him with the knuckle, they're like, oh my god, where'd my 20k go? Of course, then you're eating double 3BR and double VTF, and you're not treading against that very well, so your mileage may vary. Here's the roundup then. As mentioned earlier, anything with significant TE walls this, with a knuckle and an amp, we're investing 1,250 drain and 1,150 weight and drain into weapons that they're always going to bounce against tanks and heavies. So that's a huge sacrifice. It's a sacrifice of your shoulder unit, which is the most exclusive and build-defining slot on your AC. And to make up for that, you need to pack some shit that can seriously cook heavies, or you're really fucked, dude. If you have to fight this, keep your distance. Most other pulse guns will space out the knuckle. Mahan for sure will space out the knuckle. Remember that your target is going to be closer to you than they appear because of latency, so always give them an extra wide arm's length when you are being rushed. This also goes for like plasmas. You just need to cut the fucking line of sight with the guy who's got a plasma or a pulse gun coming at you. Like, because of latency, you are getting hit by that shit unless you prevent them from seeing you in the first place. So yeah, speaking of weird shit. Here's a weird one. PMG and Oxide. Number 3. Man, I have second thoughts about including this now. I like it a lot, but it's bad. It's bad. Oh my god, is it bad? I probably just forget all this, dude, but okay. Skip to whatever in the video to skip this part. So, both of these weapons really need some help. The PMG even after armor break, does not hit past even basic pulse gun defense numbers. The 833 TE PMG, the Arachide, only penetrates for 1041 TE after armor break. There's nothing in the game that has that defense number. Like, that means your targets are very, very, very specific with the setup. But if you do have those targets, you're gonna fucking crush them. So the Oxeye, compared to a shotgun, which has 1496 impact, the Oxeye has 1556. That is enough to stun, not simply stagger, most lights and mids. And it will armor break even very light quads. And you also have the reach to armor break LRJs and Robbies, which usually when they're jumping all over the place, like the shotgun pellets are just going like, oh, you're casting them out like seeds in the wind, like they're like fucking cottonwood seeds, just going out there like, oh, I hope I land on you. No, it's like the Oxeye will hit. Problem is that the Oxeye takes forever to lock on, and it also whiffs like a motherfucker for no reason. But the good news is that these dorks that don't hit that nice, or they do hit that nice 834 or 843 TE number, where they're like, ah yes, I've slotted on my TE arms, my dual shoulder TE arms, I'm safe from PMG. No, dude, you're gonna fucking kill them, dude. They'll be taking effective PMG after you whack them with that Oxeye handgun. And effective PMG goes fucking berg. Alright, good news is that it actually does fire quicker than the average shotgun, the Oxeye anyways. So your follow-up shots are pretty frequent. Unlike the shotguns, it doesn't do any damage though. It just breaks armor and stuns. But that's valuable because the PMG has a shit ton of DPS. Strengths, PMG fucks. The Oxeye has enough impact to matter. And both of them are actually good support for other weapons on your AC. And the PMG is just good in its own right, even if it's ineffective. That's good. It's as good as a GAT, even if it's ineffective. It's a good weapon. Like I'm telling you, it's a good weapon. Do you get me? It's a good weapon. Weaknesses: the Oxeye sucks. Oh, I need coffee. Holy shit. The Oxeye sucks, dude. Also, the PMG, I know it does damage, but it feels like shit when it's ineffective. Even if you're winning the trade and getting good damage, like, ineffective PMGs, it's like a fucking flaccid noodle. You're just hitting somebody with a fucking, like, overcooked pasta. You won't even notice when the PMG is hitting effectively either, because it's hard as fuck to see. But when it does, like, the damage adds up, and you're like, oh, I suddenly killed that guy. Whoa, I wonder how that happened. So, your opportunities here is that the Oxeye has good impact. Many other weapons in this game like having impact support, so you can play mix and match. This can be not your primary weapon combo, but your backup, your bay weapons. You can also get some ghetto laser speed shit going here, like instead of a Kurosawa, you could use an Oxeye and some high-speed missiles, and you could fire that shit and they'll armor break for each other. Of course, you're going to want to fire the Oxeye first, because the Oxeye's not doing a whole lot of damage. It's not like a laser where it's just powerful in its own right. So you want to handgun them first, and then shoot the high speeds. Kind of like the Zlatko speed, except again, Zlatko is just fucking good. Also, the PMG is useful on its own just for screening missiles in a pinch, and you can stuff them out better than a CWIS in most situations, provided you're actually hitting your opponent. Like, if they're barely out of PMG range, the missiles are still going to come through. You're not going to pop them on their person as you're firing the PMG. But at least you have nice utility weapons on your AC, in case the ideal target for both these weapons doesn't appear for you. Now, of course, threats. You can't actually armor break a Sawa Quad with this shit until after you've broken both of their shields, because with both of their shields equipped, their recoil resistance is just too high. That's because, yeah, they have... recoil resistance is derived from their head stability, their leg stability, and the weight on their AC. And with both of their shields equipped, assuming that they are a basic, high speeds, and 2 KRSW quad, it's just, they're too heavy. You can't armor break them. But against a KE quad, you can actually armor break them more easily, because it is a lighter frame technically, but you also don't need to, because the PMG is going to hit them effectively. So unless your target quad is like on a weird modified 227 head, and is not a solid quad, or a fully loaded infighter quad, which of course is going to have like 2 3BRs, VTFs, and some bullshit bays, but some weird underweighted quad creature, then you're kind of shit out of luck with the Oxeye. It's just, it's there. It's not really helping at all. So yeah, targeting most builds with this is a bad time. Many midweight ACs are looking for TE numbers that are for Neodori Model 1 or Neodori Model 3, or even Knuckle. Arakite and PMG will never hit that high, even with impact support. These weapons are almost always deadweight, except against targets who have slightly too much TE for the Arakite, but also not so much TE that they actually resist pulse guns. So this is a very lightweight setup, right? These don't cost much, but they do cost 2 slots on your AC, and you can render these both fucking redundant if you just equipped a pulse gun instead and decided to be done with it. But that does give up the insane potential DPS of the PMG, and we like that. We love fucking PMG Gober. That means that threats to this setup are significant. They probably outweigh the benefits, but if you hit those very few targets very well, you're going to stun them into the ground and you're going to drill them with the fucking Arakite. It's going to just destroy them. If you're facing the setup, you can space out both weapons, and their degree of danger only spikes significantly if you're trapped in close combat with them and stuck in their lockbox for a long period of time. So you want to keep engagement short, and you're generally going to trade better. Like when facing most DPS weapons, you just make the time you're actually exposed to them very short and you're fine. Alright, so part 3, part 2. I lied! Maybe don't use this combo, I guess. If you enjoy playing around with it, because people don't know what... I enjoyed playing around with it because people don't know what the fuck Oxeye is, and they don't respect that the handgun can stun them. You could just as easily put a Mysore auto attack gun on your shoulder, and you'd get a better Oxeye. Why is that? Look, it's good impact. It's about the same fucking impact force. If you can spare the shoulder unit, it's less than a high-speed missile that has 10 shots, reloads every, 3 seconds or something. It comes out pretty frequently. It's good. It's good. Good shoulder unit. Try that. Have fun with that. Part 4! STREKOZA. Cycad and STREKOZA. This is a fun one. So, snipers and battle rifles are some of the best effective weapons in the game. They have their drawbacks, of course. Battle rifles struggle to tag targets past their close range because of their poor muzzle. Sniper rifles, likewise, they cannot make these follow-up shots because of their long reload times. Both weapons need support to get past KE or CE shields, so if you're sitting here with me, you're like, oh, why not take one of each? Many people will say, don't, you should just specialize and take two snipers or 2 STREKOZAs, and just build around the strengths and weaknesses of those. But if you're a little bit uncanny, you go, yes, you must understand, take the most responsive fucking sniper and the world beater battle rifle, and you compare them, they lock at the same fucking time. Bam, use them together. It's simple, look at the math. So you get the blue lock burst and good handling of a sniper, and you get the follow-up shots of a battle rifle, and you can basically access the playstyle of a BR rusher and a blue lock sniper at the same time. Because you can play Strek's blue lock, right? And you can play Sniper's blue lock. So whether you're subs or with missiles, you can play both styles. You just can't play them as good as a more specialized AC. Even the large missile kind of works. It's a little sketchy, but it enables you to do a lot more. So the strengths are, of course, you do not give a shit what you are shooting at, and you barely care about the range you fight at. Both of these weapons have very good capabilities on their own, and even unsupported by shoulder units or other weapons, they fuck. Weaknesses, though, is that you're not a true sniper or a true battle rifle build. You have to play these very, very narrow advantages to beat more specialized builds, but at least they have almost zero capability in areas you have basic performance in, which depends on which one you're fighting. You can leverage that. So, like, if I'm fighting a BR rusher, I have a sniper. They don't. I can play that blue lock bullshit out of their range, where I'm going to trade in these blue lock engagements. That's good shit. If I'm subbed, they're fucked. Because single sub sniper, just one sub on the sniper, is defining for that matchup. Like, it would be your match to lose. You would have to fuck up and allow them to get in on you to lose that one. Likewise, if you're fighting a sniper and you have that Strek, you have follow-up shots, which means you can threaten to DPS them. So they have to be really on top of their game. So let's get into this. You can slot nearly any shoulder unit in here, and you can play these weapons on almost any frame. It is like the perfect meal, right? You salt to taste, you season to taste. You can run this shit on quick lock FCS, on a missile FCS, or on an ultra close range wide lock FCS. That's actually one of my favorites. Of course, then you can't really snipe as well with it, but use a CE hit. Come on, you're fine. If you're on a fast frame with this combo in subs, no one is safe at almost any range. I think Fanta called it a terrorism AC. In that case, I had a sniper and a Podenka, not a STREKOZA, but it's similar enough. You just chase somebody down and you're always hitting them, and you always have a weapon to hit them. Likewise, if you play heavy brawler or a quad with this, even though your face-to-face DPS is not the best, you can maul the fuck out of targets in short rushes where you have the time to fire off 2 sniper rounds at least between the bursts of the battle rifle. So you move in, you acquire target, you fire the sniper, and you start firing the STREKOZA. By the time you are done with the STREKOZA, by the time you're done with the rush, the sniper will have locked on, you'll fire your follow-up shot. So that's 2 sniper shots and maybe like 3 or 4 STREKOZA shots. And at that point, the STREKOZA will have locked as well. So if you have an opportunistic position, you keep on the target and keep pelting with the STREKOZA. And then you just hold trigger on the sniper, which is weird. You rarely get to talk about sniper DPS, but it is there. Anyways, this is also really dangerous because you have the hybrid of blue lock play and volley play if you have missiles in your shoulders. So you can play this with subs and pretend to be like an off-brand sniper, or you can play it with missiles, and you are a really weird threatening brawler. Because you can threaten people who are coming at you as well. Like if they run like right at you, you are blue lock snipering and STREKOZing them, and then they have to deal with like VTFs or some shit. So that is suffering to deal with, dude, because you can hardly predict it. Likewise, though, or rather, as a drawback, if you can't really blue lock well at a pinch, or if the map doesn't provide you with favorable opportunities for cover play, or especially if you cannot dictate the pace of the fight and actually disengage from your opponent with the required speed or opportunity or cover to do with that, this weapon set really struggles, regardless of whether or not you're running subs or missiles. The threats, of course, are those more specialized builds, which will out-snipe or out-DPS you. This is not the best setup to shoot quads with either, because if you picked a missile for your shoulder unit, this sort of setup might really struggle to hit fast ACs well enough to trade, because you will likely not lock on before they can start trading with you. And they're also going to have missiles. So that's a drawback. Unless you're getting those good blue lock shots and really playing keep away, or like a really aggressive vortex if you're fast enough, you're going to trade and they're going to have good DPS, and that's a problem. So you don't get to play it like a true sniper or true rush build, and if your opponent decides to force a fight on their terms, and they are either of those, you are at an obvious disadvantage. Weapon combo mostly demands that you be creative, though, and you fight to win these very narrow margins of advantage because you're a quirky little shit who decided to pick up BR and a sniper. This is definitely not in the textbook. Like, I don't think anybody would recommend you do this, because it's like, oh, what the fuck, these 2 weapons, they clash too much, why would you do that? I don't like it. If you're stuck fighting this shit as a BR build, rush it. Just rush it. Force a long engagement face-to-face where your DPS will win. Of course, if there's missiles involved, this gets a little bit more complicated and potentially unsafe, because you could be walking into, like, I don't know, 6 mid-missiles, 6 VTFs, and at that point it's like, oh, I'm sorry, you're just dead. Like, you've lost AP lead, something fierce, and now you're fighting into blue lock sniper, which is going to kite you to shit. It's going to vortex you. You're fucked. Generally, if you're a sniper, then I guess generally again, if you're a rusher, do not get bogged down in the blue lock fight, because the sniper will make it very hard to win. If you're a sniper, don't get stuck in a staring contest. Take your shot, get back to cover. Like, it's simple. This STREKOZA will chew you apart if you allow it to lock on, which is a big problem if it has a sub, because it will lock before your snipers. So you need to do the blue lock game, which is kind of rough if you're like a very light sniper, especially if you're a heavy. And also, if they have missiles, you would already know that being in the open is inviting disaster. Like, if that LM locks or those mid-missiles come out, like, you're fucked. You maintain range where necessary. Don't be afraid to force very tight engagements around the same building as your opponent, because your 2 snipers will have better burst, you'll win the trades. Just make them short, or else the STREKOZA's extra shots are going to start to add up. Also, if you're a quad, I know I said earlier it doesn't, like, you don't really care about what you're shooting at, but, like, neither of these weapons hurt a quad a whole lot, not very fast anyways, so you can probably just brawl it down, or try to trade up with, like, 2 lasers and missiles, and you just call it a day. Because you might be fighting, like, what, like, 39k, 38k to, like, 42k? The quad is like, I don't care, right? Like, the quad is like, your battle rifle is, like, half effective, the sniper doesn't fire quick enough, I'm just going to get in your face and kill you. Even if they have the sniping setup, and especially if they do, they can just play at ranges where the battle rifle is going to struggle, or where it's not going to matter as much that the sniper is hitting them. Because you can just sit there and tank that shit. You got the AP for it, and you burst harder. All right, final combo. 3BR and first generation howitzer. You could use a Strek instead of a 3BR if you wanted, I guess. Man, this shit rocks, dude. Do you like shooting? Do you like shooting more than your opponent? Do you like hyper offense, this brainless fucking hyper offense? Do you want to click the X Factor button and take your opponent from 100 to 0 like Virgil? Foolishness, Dante, foolishness. Do you want to make your parents fucking proud? Run this shit. Right now you could be shitting 8 CE rounds at the enemy per trigger, but what are you waiting for? So strengths. Insane burst. Insane shoot DPS. Insane comeback potential. Slightly not as heavy as 2 battle rifles, but it has similar damage output and high total firepower. You also barely care about what the fuck kind of FCS you have. You can run this with anything. You're mostly manual aiming. You're pretending you're full manual aim, but the 3BR can actually lock on, and it can actually blue lock in a pinch, which gives it some advantages over just straight up 2 howitzers or straight up 2 3BRs. However, you're using one weapon that locks on and another one that doesn't. You have to aim this by moving your AC, not necessarily your camera. This is not intuitive for some people. Especially people who like to mostly just play full manual aim, because you're going to try to manual aim the howitzer, and that's going to take your aim off from the 3BR. Like, your FCS is not going to be aiming where the 3BR, like, try it out, you'll know what I mean immediately. However, if you've been playing old gen and you know that fucking howitzer, the fucking left-hand howitzer bullshit, it's just like this. Oh my god, that shit's glorious, dude. Basically, these weapons also demand that you collide with that enemy target to hit them, or you have a leisurely glide in to line up those shots. Against a really nimble opponent, like a mobile one, you will seriously struggle to hit them unless you can predict very well, and you get those like collision shots. The opportunities, though, are that this basically requires no support, but at the same time, it is a bit of a commitment. It's 2 slots. The 3BR can be not effective in many matchups. The howitzer can just fail to hit, and that can be not very good, but you only need to get lucky once, or twice, or 3 times. Again, the perk is that it really doesn't give a shit about what your AC looks like. You could put this on a light, you could put this on a medium, you could put this on a heavy, you could put this on a quad. This, you probably don't want this as your base as a tank. It's a little bit heavy, it's a little bit like dice rolly, but it's fine. It benefits from missiles, like, a lot. You could run chaff if you wanted, if you want to like really get in somebody's face. It has limited benefit from subs. Of course, a sub 3BR is still strong. The howitzer doesn't get any benefit from subs, but that's whatever. Likewise, it doesn't care about your firing stability, but if you have high firing stability, you can fire this shit even faster. Like, that's good. More burst. More chances to roll the dice. You're fucking throwing buckets full of dice at your opponent every time you fire this shit. So you can slap this on any AC that can fit it, and it will chew through almost anything. You may wonder, why not just use 2 howitzers? I mean, I addressed this earlier. You can at least blue lock the 3BR, which means that your trades are more consistent, because if you whiff both howitzers, you're standing there with your fucking dick in your hand. You're like, oh no, what do I do? But then if you have the 3BR, it's like, okay, cool, I can at least fire back. And that's 3 CE shots at 2,000 damage. It's good stuff. Furthermore, the first-gen howitzer, importantly, compared to the second-gen howitzer, which has 3,000 damage, the first-gen howitzer, which has the same attack power as the STREKOZA, reloads at roughly the same time. Which means that although your total burst isn't as high as 2 howitzers or the second-gen howitzer, you can still play this like a double 3BR setup. And at ranges where you want to play 3BRs, the howitzer is going to have a high hit chance, because you're just close to them, right? Whether you're trying to hit them, really trying to aim or not, like, it's gonna get them. And if it gets them, that's 5 shots of STREKOZA hitting them, basically. So you're really trading up against anything in the game. And people will sit there and they'll get in a DPS race with you, thinking that they can out-trade you, and you're like, let me just hit 1 of these. Let me hit 2. Let me hit 3, and they're dead. And you're like, I don't know, this makes me giddy, dude. Like, I first saw this on one of Chang's ACs. He was using the full second-gen version of it with, like, missiles and something. I was like, oh, that's good burst. I like that. I like that a lot. Because he had it in a weapon combo where the 3BR was also paired with another weapon. I forget what it was, but that was like just helping it out, basically. And so when he brought out the howitzer in the 3BR, it was like, this is like an accidental combo? Like, maybe he can fill me in on this. Like, it was still deliberate, I guess. Not totally accidental, but it was like, the AC is not necessarily built around that. It was just like an extra weapon. I think his main combo was like the howitzer and the sniper for blue lock stuff. But if something was like weak to CE and he needed to lock onto it, he brought out the 3BR, and the 3BR would at least lock while he's trying to line up the howitzer. So you could howitzer and then 3BR them, and that would be more consistent damage. But this shit, dude, the first gen, they lock at the same time. I mean, they reload at the same time. So you can just go, choom! Wait, choom! Wait, choom! And you just kill people. You just kill people. It's amazing. It's so good. Try it, dude. Holy fuck, try it. Okay. So threat list. Unsupported 3BR is tough to work with because the enemy can just have 2037 CE or more, and your 900 weight investment of the 3BR is now a glorified shield breaking option, which means you need other weapons to support that, or just to allow you to attack them. Which again, like a sniper behind the 3BR, that's good. But that means that CE heavies, CE tanks, and CE quads don't give a shit about the 3BR, and that's a lot of your damage in this combo. Of course, the howitzer is fucking effective. Like that's STREKOZA level damage. It's gonna hit hard. But the 3BR is like, it's helping out. It's helping out a lot. That's where a lot of your killing power is. So losing half your combo just because your opponent is a certain target, kind of bad. You can solve that with high-speed missiles in your shoulders, maybe. But of course, quads, they don't give a shit about the 3BR anyways. They're also going to resist. Well, they're not going to resist, but they're going to like partially resist the howitzer. It's not going to do as much. Every AC has to respect that howitzer. It fires about as fast as the 3BR. It's a huge comeback factor. You can hit one of those in close range, and it was like, oh, suddenly there's like 8k damage done. But again, enemies that can control range can also make this setup particularly ineffective because both these weapons have low velocity. They're pretty poor choices against evasive targets at a distance, and covering those targets is also probably kind of hard on an AC that's looking to take advantage of this weapon combo, because it's kind of a big investment to only hit targets that it only hits a couple of targets really well, and that's mostly like fat shit. Or if you're quick enough to make use of it and actually pursue things, you need to match speed tiers mostly to get the most out of this one, or play defensively and let them come to you. If they're playing keep away, good luck with this. You really gotta rush. Right, yeah. The fuck was I talking about? Yeah, investment to only hit a couple of targets really well, and to be at most a threat or check to dedicated close range attackers, because the only thing this combo can do is really threaten high burst, and it's easy prey, basically prey that the enemy is stupid enough to stick around and roll the dice with follow-up howitzer hits. Again though, the shoot DPS is incredible, but you're going to lose to that basic rustic strike large missile play, or good blue lock, or good shotgun vortex, unless you can produce situations where that 3BR and the howitzer can put in the work, which is again, like face to face, I'm spitting distance, just going to, we're gonna hit that choom 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 bullshit. And that doesn't always happen. Right, that basically means your success is going to depend on what frame you have and what weapons the opponent has, what frame they have, and who is attacking whom and from what angle. So there's a lot of factors that play into whether this shit is any good at all. Many rush builds will gladly accept a howitzer hit to the face just to get in on you, DPS your shit down, lock that large missile, and kill you, or get those VTFs off. And when you don't have AP lead, this setup is not as amazing. It doesn't trade as consistently with more dedicated builds at almost any range. However, if you do get lucky, a couple howitzer hits will always make up for the drawbacks. That does, though, assume that you hit, which isn't something you can assume when you take yourself away from the calculus of these DPS sheets, and you face the reality of the weapons, which is that they just don't hit faster ACs consistently unless you're a manual lane beast. So this combo is for bullying targets, and if your AC is not a bully, you will be bullied for attempting this. And also the threat list in PCVD metagame right now is full of bullies. So you've got to be more aggressive than they are, basically. Really force those trades, and really force them to reckon with that howitzer, which reloads quick. Again, if they're stupid enough to take the chance, you got to take that bet every time, pretty much. And that's risky, because you can lose. You can lose that bet super easy and just die. There you have it, though. If you're facing this, respect the howitzer. The closer you are to the enemy, the more the howitzer will hit. It is simple math. You cannot allow yourself to get in a lazy glide boost alongside your opponent, because if you're both moving at the same direction relative to each other on like a similar height plane, he's just going to be lining up that howitzer to chunk you. Like, howitzers, in a nutshell, punish lazy glide boost movement and direct approaches. The howitzer also reloads deceptively fast, again, so you can't chance it. You just gotta cut, like, just cut the fucking line of sight. Control your glide boost addiction, pay attention to your movement habits, and you'll win. Thanks for watching! Yeah, you've scrolled so far, you've been an isopod. That's all for now. You should, like, I don't know, engagement bait, post some weapon combinations you like to use with a comment, I guess. See ya.